Hey, want to go to Sun Studios with us? Let's go.
Meow. Hey, all you cool cats and fine felines. It's Leah and
Lynn.
And today we are in Memphis, Tennessee at Sun Studio. You know all the legends that's walked through this door right here? So follow us. Lynn, what are we going to do?
Get into the groove.
That's right. I think they're right there's the sign of the Crown Electric Company, and that's where Elvis worked before he started recording at Sun.
Alright, if you got tickets for that 12:30 tour, head back to the record shop. Start rock and roll.
Let's go.
We weren't allowed to film on the first part of the tour. I'll mention the tickets that we bought for the tour. They were only $20 a piece. And so it's very economical and extremely worth it. So we're going to pick up, there's going to be still pictures upstairs. This was the first single on Sun Studio Records. Johnny London, Driving Slow. It wasn't a hit, but it's significant because it was the first one. These pictures are pictures of the equipment that Sun Studio used back in the day. It's really, really neat. This is so cool. This is Dewey Phillips' radio station that they moved from the basement at the Peabody Hotel to Sun Studio. And he was a pioneer in rock and roll and disc jockeying. If he didn't like your record, he would smash it on the floor. He would break it. And if he did like it, he would play it until it broke and was popular. So him and Alan Freed were huge, pivotal people in rock and roll and radio. Okay, this is so cool. This is the amp that was used to record Rocket 88, which is known as one of the first rock and roll songs. And it was because it had distortion effect. They had broken the amp and they had fixed it by just putting paper towels in it. And when they plugged it up, it gave this nice little hum. And Sam Phillips loved it so much that he said, just play it like that. And basically, rock and roll was born here at Sun Studio. So cool. And of course, what would Sun Studio Museum be without a picture of Marion Kesker? She played a pivotal role in Elvis getting signed at Sun Studio. And of course, what would the world be without Elvis Presley? And we just love these pictures of Elvis as a kid. So neat that they have these in the Sun Studio Museum. And of course, Elvis's guitar. So cool.
When I read
that's not the kind of talent he wants to be recording here. Remember, Sam's primary focus is to record the blues, not slow ballads. That's what he'd been trying to get away from since his days at WREC, but that's okay. Because Elvis's major involvement with this place would come just about a year later, in July of 1954. After a couple of local musicians come to Sam asking if he had any recommendations for a lead singer for their group. This was Scotty Moore and Bill Black, two guys that had been playing together for quite some time and recorded a few times here with Sam. And as Sam starts to rattle off a few different ideas of who he thinks would make a good fit for him, well, Marion Keisker overhears this conversation from her office back there, and she decides to chime in. She says, well, what about that Elvis Presley kid? What about that great ballad singer? And finally, after enough pushing from Marion, Sam decides to give this kid a chance. In early July of '54, Elvis, Scotty, and Bill walk through that door there onto the very track room floor you're now standing on. If y'all had any curiosity what Scotty and Bill looked like, there's a great photo of them with Elvis above the window, Scotty Moore on the left with his guitar, Bill Black on the right. It's upright. And Sam would have a very specific placement of recording trios. It's the same placement we use in recording today. He would have had Scotty right about where you guys are over here by this X there. Bill with his upright bass right over here. In fact, you can still see the hole in the floor where Bill would have rested the peg of that upright bass.
Oh, wow.
And a very nervous Elvis Presley would have been standing right over here by you guys. Now, Elvis was so nervous, he decided to face Scotty and Bill, facing all of you, instead of facing Sam back here in the control room. And he began this audition with a lot of slow Dean Martin, Mario Lanza style songs, trying to show off his unique talent, his 3-octave range voice to Sam, and do what he thought he needed to do to get a recording contract and get signed to the label. Even though this really wasn't the music he was interested in, it's what he thought would please Sam. Of course, as we already know, Sam's uninterested entirely in recording this style of music. But Sam doesn't want to tell Elvis what he wants to hear. He wants to see Elvis's raw talent come out on its own. Unfortunately, Sam would decide that he saw something in the young Elvis that he knew he could work with if he could just figure out what it was. He decides to just let Elvis play for quite some time, a number of hours actually, a lot longer than he'd let anyone else. But as Elvis was just doing ballad after ballad, and it was getting late into the evening, Sam finally decides to just step out from his control room door there onto the floor to suggest, why don't we all just take a break, guys? And Scotty and Bill, they recognized what this meant. They, after all, had recorded with Sam before. They knew that he was tired and ready to go home. So they began packing up their gear and putting away their instruments, and a very nervous Elvis began pacing the floor right up here, thinking that he'd just blown the one shot he had at getting discovered, following his passion of music, taking care of his family, his parents, specifically his mother. He felt this was his one chance and that he had just blown it. So guitar in hand, he's pacing. And just to help calm down those nerves, he starts strumming that guitar and just kind of flaring with it. He starts strumming to the tune of this old obscure blues song that he remembers from his youth growing up in Tupelo. This old Arthur Crudup song called That's Alright that Elvis loves. And as he begins playing this to himself, putting his own feel into it, Bill decides to pick his bass back up, starts keeping time. Scotty grabs a guitar and then up against a nearby amp on the wall, starts vamping along with him. And remember, Sam is still back there in the control room. He can hear all of this going on. And after listening to him for just a short while, well, he finally bursts out of that door, but this time coming up to Elvis and saying, son, what have you been doing? You've been holding back on me. Play this louder. Let's get this recorded. See, Sam was very excited. Not only did he recognize the song, which was so obscure as a blues song, Sam's the only person in the building besides Elvis that knew it because of his sheer knowledge of the blues, but Sam also recognized what Elvis was bringing to the song itself, injecting it and infusing it with his other influences of country and pop and reshaping it into something new and different. In fact, Sam was so excited that after they cut the track in just a couple of takes, he decided to bring it over that very night to his buddy, Dewey Phillips, pictured right there on the wall. You guys saw his booth upstairs. For Dewey to debut on his Red Hot and Blue radio show. See, Sam knew if it was a hit, Dewey would be able to tell, and if it wasn't, well, you guys remember what would happen, right? Smashed to pieces. Well, that's what Dewey would do if he didn't like a record he's playing. If he did like a record he's playing, you just catch him sort of leaning in close to his microphone there and just sort of humming along with whatever song. If he really loved a record, you just catch him sort of hollering into that microphone, just sort of out of key and obscure. Dewey was as wild as it gets, y'all. And in fact, one more thing you guys should probably know about him is he had one of the most southern accents I've ever heard in my life. To this day, I can still only understand about half what comes out of his mouth. And that's with a lot of practice. With that in mind, let's travel back to July 8th, 1954. It is late in the evening. We're setting our radio dial for the Red Hot and Blue radio show. Let's see what we're about to hear. I believe the world is about to change.
Oh, yes, sir, good people, so Phillips looks bringing the hottest cotton picking thing to cuts a real hot blue coming through WHBQ and Hotel Tisco on the magazine floor. Is that right, Diz? That's right. What you call Sam Putney? No, I got to call Sam, Diz. Ah, Pete Picker. Hey, come on now, then sing on. How you on, buddy? Very good, partner. It's more like it. Is that right? It's okay. Nervous, Snoop? All right. Just go on down there and get you a wheelbarrow load of mat on. Run them through the front door and tell them Philip sent you from red, hot, and blue. Hey, I got a new song we're gonna play here. We're gonna cut loose this new song. I mean, a flat get it.
Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right song again that Dewey, he was going to play it 14 times during his radio broadcast that night. Something that had never happened before. And Sam now realizes he has a big hitmaker on his hands. He brings Elvis the next day to Sun and signs him to a 3-year recording contract with the Sun label. Now, for those that saw the Elvis movie, you know that Elvis had only gone to stay with Sun about 17 months of that contract before it was sold to RCA. Connections to Elvis's future manager, Colonel Tom Parker. With the help of RCA, he was able to buy Elvis's contract out for $35,000, equivalent to nearly $500,000 in today's money. At the time, it was the most any artist contract had sold for before. Now, it can be argued whether Sam made the right call, but Sam was all about artist development. He wanted the best for all of his artists, and he knew that RCA could give him what he could not, which was nationwide and eventually worldwide record distribution. Got his name and talent out there. And most importantly for Sam, this gave him what he needed financially to help him out with this place, help him out with that lawsuit, bring him some engineers that he really needed. Remember, at the time, it was just him and Marion, but most importantly, it gave him the money to start properly promoting the new talent flooding in the door. Talent inspired by Elvis' success, like Mr. Carl Perkins' picture right there in the middle, who gives Sun its very first gold record, first #1. You all know the very first version of Blue Suede Shoes.
Well, it's one for the money.
To bring rhythm and percussion into his song so he could still be thought of as a country artist. He came up with this, and in a moment I'll attempt to show you how that sound was created. Of course, that keyword there is attempt. If y'all want to please sing along, which is a little bit more enjoyable, a little less awkward for me. Who's ready to sing? All right. We're all about having fun here at Sun, so let's try it out. Here we go. Now, Elvis was with RCA at this moment in time, but he was on his Christmas break, so he decides to pop into Sun to say hello to Sam and Marion. He would do on occasion. This particular night that he walks the door, he notices Mr. Any guesses? Carl Perkins right there in the middle, all black there, working on his follow-up to Blue Suede Shoes. That's right, with a song called Matchbox. On that session was an unknown piano player at the time. Just a session guy. Y'all may have heard of him by now. His name, Jerry Lee Lewis. There he is. When Elvis walks the door, Sam gets an idea for a publicity photo. So he calls his latest hitmaker, Johnny Cash. He also calls the Memphis Press, who come in, snap this iconic photograph. The next day it runs in the papers with the tagline, The $1 Million Quartet. One of the most legendary photographs in rock and roll history. The exciting part actually happens once the press leave. She got these 4 amazing talents hanging out in a room full of instruments, so quite naturally a jam session's going to happen, and Sam would have the good sense to record it, even though that was completely illegal. Remember, Elvis was still signed with RCA, and no one was recording Elvis with RCA, especially without their permission, but you know Sam, he'd do it anyways, and because of this, he'd have to keep this a secret a very long time, and he did. A secret that night he kept even from them. That's right, they had no idea they were being recorded. And when you listen back to it, you really don't hear 4 legends. What you hear is 4 good friends hanging out, sharing stories from the road, playing songs that they love and songs that they grew up with. You can't beat it. Since Sam did record it, we're going to listen to a little cut from that night and a little bit of backstory what you're going to hear. You're going to hear Elvis talking about his recent trip to Las Vegas. This was his very first trip to Las Vegas, where he had seen Jackie Wilson perform. When Jackie heard that Elvis would be in attendance, he decides to perform Elvis's latest hit, Don't Be Cruel, but puts his own spin on the song and makes it his own. Elvis is really taken with this. He went to go see Jackie both nights, and over the years, they developed a very close friendship that lasted the duration of Jackie's life. Back to this night. The time of the recording I'm about to play you, you're now seeing Elvis standing about right here with his guitar. And actually, Jerry Lee, the killer on the keys, with Johnny and Carl sort of crowded around. As I step over to the sidelines to play this, if you want to get closer to that spot, feel free to. If anybody wants to play the piano, I'm just kidding. Let's all just try to reimagine what it's been to be a fly on the wall on that legendary night. The music hits to it. Here we go.
He tried so hard until he got much better, boy. Much better than that record of mine. Oh, no, wait now. It's this way. He was real slender. He got up there and he said, "Hand a little slow with me." Starting off, he said, what kind of key did I do it in? What key did I do Don't Be Cruel in? Hey, you know I can be found.
To take that money, invest, create himself a state-of-the-art recording studio and locate it just around the corner from us on Madison Avenue. It's still there today. It's named the Sam Phillips Recording Service to this day. It's run by Sam's son, Jerry. But that would leave this building a musical ghost town for the next 25 years, until finally in 1987, we opened up that door again to the public, started giving tours. We also started recording artists and bands again, to name just a few. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Paul Simon, Def Leppard, U2, who actually left us their drum kit here after the Round and Hum session. I've been waiting for them to come back ever since. We still record artists and bands of today as well. Maroon 5, Margot Price, Beck, Jacob Dylan, they've all been through here, and that does bring us just about to the end of our tour. But there's been one more thing, dying to meet you guys. I'd like to bring it out now, as long as it's all right with y'all. Is it all right? Yeah. Doesn't sound like it's all right. Is it all right?
Yeah.
It's our friend hanging out right over here in the corner. I think everybody might have some idea what this might be. When Sam found out we were open and giving tours again, Sam decided to come here and take our tours. But Sam wanted to make the tours a little bit more special. He kept this microphone with him throughout the years, and he brought this to us just a few months before he passed away in 2003. On just a few conditions. He said, I never want this behind glass in a display case, and I want everybody that takes the tour to be able to come up here, take their picture with it, even grab it, pose with it, all that stuff. Just be very careful, very, very careful with it. And you may wonder, why would you want to take a picture of some old microphone like this? Well, that's because back in the 1950s, well, this would have been Sam's vocal mic, which meant all the legends we talked about in this tour today, including all those guys right there, all those iconic voices would have been right there. This is our way of honoring Sam, the musical legacy that he left behind. But that does bring us to the end of the tour. Again, my name's Josh. I'm pretty passionate about this. I'd never dream in a million years I'd get to come here and do this job, and I'm only able to do it because of you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause, y'all. I'm serious. Well, maybe I should show you the bill.
Perfect. Thanks for following us on this little adventure of Sun Studio. If you haven't already,
Subscribe to Atomic Hive, and you can hit that like button if you like this video, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload those new videos, which is like every weekend.
right, couple of weekend, yeah, usually. So, until then,
Stay groovy.